An Untraveled Road by Neon Sangetsu in Chapter 24. No mercy here. I'll always remember what happened that day, Neil. Couldn't forget it if I tried. They say good men show mercy. But that day, well, guess you could say it made me who I am. Yeah, that was the day I realized it. My friends weren't strong. They were all of them monsters. And soon enough, so was I. Learned from the best after all. How do you think I got this reputation? What's that now? More ice cream? Sure. Now where were we? Torchwick, future, no mercy here. Get him! All hell broke loose. No, perhaps that wasn't quite right. Colgrim was still screaming his head off, still frankly clicking a thumb against the inert detonator, still swearing bloody vengeance against them all, until someone finally decided they'd had enough of him. Still down in the arena as he was, Naruto saw it all unfold in slow motion. A single leap sent her vaulting over the stands and carried her to the spectator's booth. She alighted on the railing with a savage grace, ebony hair sweeping behind her in a dark cloud, red eyes narrow to vicious slits, a euphoric grin tearing across her face. Finally! Omen swept back in a bloody arc. Then there was actual blood spluttering through the air as Raven Bronwyn severed his arm, shoulder and all, at the collarbone. The detonator flew free from his fingers, only to be summarily caught and crushed with her fists. Colgrin went down with a howl, yowling, falling out of sight to the floor. His guards closed in, weapons drawn. Raven rounded on them with a manic grin. He didn't see their fates. Up there in the booth, not at this angle, but he heard their screams. All this took place in an instant. It was enough. Cultists leaped to his defenses, and after him. Indeed, he was only just striding forward to join Raven when he heard someone shout his name. "Hey, Naruto, catch!" He heard Summer's voice in the melee and raised a hand without thinking. His false arm slapped into his grasp. He grabbed it and slotted it over his elbow. Still fingers flexed as he reached around and caught a cultist's face, swinging them into another. Pivoting with the force of the blow, he swung his impromptu bludgeon into a second cultist and used the momentum to bring his free hand to bear. An angry Rasenshuriken howled to life between the fingers of his natural fist. He let it fly, annihilating another cluster of Colgrim's men. I felt like coming home. You said it. Let's show them how we did things back in the elemental nations. Give them a stern lecture and hope that they change their ways for good. Hell no! Kill them! His sixth sense spiked as someone in the crowd drew a bead on him. He swayed aside, smiling as the sniper around pierced the place his head occupied a moment before. He heard a curse in the chaos, and he also heard an equally harsh click as their weapon jammed. Then thanked the sage for close semblance. He touched two fingers to the headset at his right ear. "What? You there? Do you read me?" Loud and clear, the scientist's voice came through. Alma has disarmed the last of the bombs. General Ironwood has been appraised of the situation, and Penny is currently en route to your location. He spoke over his startled exclamation. And you've retrieved your arm. Excellent. I've installed some new features that you might find beneficial given your current situation. He ducked a crazy cultist and kicked away another. Is now really the time? Humor me. Fling out your arm, make a fist, and pull it back. Naruto heaved a sigh and flung his arm towards where he'd last sensed the sniper's general location. A panel opened near the base of his false limb, punctuated by an audible ominous click. He made a fist just as instructed, mimed pulling his arm back, and vroom! A missile flew free from his limb to annihilate a nearby portion of the stands, alongside a goodly number of the Mystic Dawn cultists. In a hail of fiery napalm, Naruto squinted at the chaos with minor chagrin. More now, as the bloody hail of robed bodies and rubble rained down around him. Huh, he mumbled to himself, regarding the now smoking chamber of his arm. Neat! You come in clutch with upgrades. That's not all. An awful silence fell over the arena. All eyes fell on him. He knew what was coming. I want that! Well, he should have expected that response. Bad Summer! He stabbed a finger at the silver-eyed warrior before she could clamber down into the arena after him. Don't make me take your arm privileges away. Colgrim's cultists were on him a moment later. Slay the Schnee! Naruto turned to face them with a chagrined grin. The others could handle themselves. Time to see what this baby could do. He could feel Watts' preen through the earpiece. I'll be happy to show you. Follow these instructions. Another panel opened in his false arm just above his wrist, and he felt something tug on his chakra. A minor drain at best, but the reward that followed proved well worth it, for a curtain of golden flames belched forward to rake over the poor fools who dared to charge them. The lucky ones disintegrated outright. Others flailed to the floor, howling as they burned alive. Naruto balked at it. "You gave me a flamethrower?" And some are all but howled, "I want that too!" His wrist twisted, and the barrel erased out into a slender opening. A hail of seeking darts darts aroused out from within, striking nine foes at once, piercing cloths and flesh alike. More bodies hit the floor, but the darts weren't yet done. They circled around and filled 9 more before finally falling inert into the dirt. Naruto turned a baleful look at his weaponized limb. "Oi, oi, oi! How many upgrades did you give me?" Watts remained cheeky to the last. "How many would you like?" "I want all of those." Yes, we're well aware of your predilection." Willow pushed Summer aside with a gust of cold air, nudging her away from a cultist blade. "Now would you kindly help?" "Party pooper." Ty and Crow were on Summer's would-be killer a moment later, and Giro with them. The poor assassin didn't so much die as disintegrate. Naruto swept a quick glance for his surroundings. In the meantime, the grand arena was vast, easily large enough to get separated, and still, Golgrum's people showed no sign of stopping. Everyone was fighting well, but his concerns lay elsewhere. He made a snap decision. "Crow, Ty, get the kids and Belladonna's out of here. We'll handle the rest." "We can fight!" Cinder caught a blow on her crossed weapons behind them. Wide black blades flicked out to take the arm of her attacker. He pitched backwards, and ducking forward, he thrusted open palm at the adversary with intent. Her newfound maiden power sparked. Never stood a chance. He fell shrieking in a pillar of blue fire. Despite that savagery, no one fled. They all rushed them, weapons in hand. Naruto didn't know whether to be relieved or alarmed. Golgram really had put all his eggs in one basket. That worried him, if only because this was proving far too easy. With the exception of a few talented fighters in the early rounds, most of these were untrained. Few, if any, had their aura unlocked, yet he kept throwing them their way. What was he playing at? His followers were falling in droves, with no sign of the so-called goddess he claimed to worship. And why hadn't he heard from Raven since she'd gone after him? An awful feeling rose in the pit of his gut. "Go!" He didn't wait to see if they listened. He turned and sprinted for the balcony. A gibbering madman threw themselves at him, swinging a mighty axe. He took the blow on his false arm, grunted in annoyance, then smacked his free fist forward without missing a beat. The lunatic pitched backwards with a hole in his chest. He stomped over him, already picking up speed. Another cluster of mystic dawn barred his path. One of them, a lamphanus, pointed his way and shouted something. He didn't hear it in the slightest, just an ugly animal bleat. He tore a scroll free from his pouch and unfurled it. Fresh smoke sprayed forth. Faunus died in droves beneath a hail of shuriken and kunai. He whipped the spent scroll around and used it to strangle another Faunus before casting him into his fellows. All the while, his eyes never left the spectator box. He could hear noises up there now, but still the dread persisted. Nothing else to be had for it then. He waded in, arms swinging, rip and tear. She couldn't protect the children. The thought pained Willow as she fought through Golgrum's men, and as she fought, the storm raged around her, rendering her foes little more than frozen ruins. Her power was one of the cold, of ice and frost, and while she wielded it to devastating effect against her enemies, it rendered the world around her a wasteland. Huntsmen and huntresses could barely endure such, but Cinder and the children just couldn't survive a blizzard. Crow and Ty would have to look after them. And Kali yelped a warning, "Move!" A dagger danced in Willow's peripherals. She buffed it aside with a gust of air, only to gasp as something struck her shoulder and wrenched it out its socket. Pain blazed around her. She clamped down on it and kicked away, whirling on a curtain of air to face her foe. For a wild moment, she thought it might be Hazel. She didn't know anyone else who struck that hard, but no, Reynard was taller, larger, and this was a woman. Short though she was, she could see her shape beneath the crimson robes well enough. A strange match etched with a red jewel and black lines hid her face from view, but not so her golden hair, nor her voice. "You will die here, maiden." The words were muffled, almost indistinct beneath the hardened pearls. "Today, you and your child." "Is that so?" Willow straightened with a grunt. "And here I thought you lot didn't have a brain cell between you." I do not serve these imbeciles. She heard the faint flick of a tongue. They've been a useful smokescreen, but obey a higher power, one who knows you. Air stilled in Willow's throat. Her mind began to race. Salem. They'd assumed that Colgrim and his idiots worked for her. But what if they didn't? Was she using them? Taking advantage of the chaos too? Willow drew herself upright, eyes flashing like ice. To the outward eye she did nothing. Her eyes blazed with cold blue flames. Internally, she marshaled her strength, mustered her might. The masked woman regarded her intently, unaware of the minefield she blurted into. No less words. Her lips quirked in a small smile. I can think of one. No, two, actually. Thank you. A pause. What? You like to hear yourself talk, don't you? She gripped her shoulder and popped it back in place. To monologue, most villains do. Talk, talk, talk. Naruto was right about that much. The wind picked up around them, a faint keening sound rising with it. Your kind just love to hear the sound of your own voice, and you gave me all the time I needed. Then the world became a blizzard. They're being awfully noisy over there. A stray mystic dawn grunt craned his neck towards the Colosseum, considering it as one might a wild beast. They're very noisy indeed. It sounded like a massacre over there. Meh, his companion shrugged. Not on our pay grade, Mark, so long as they killed the Schnee. After that, I've been thinking, man, are we on the right side of things here? His ally Tilly said, do you doubt the word of our goddess? No, it's just, why are we doing this, man? Is this a trap? That's what they want us to think. Maybe. What was the whistling noise? Mark looked up and squinted against the harsh light. The hell was that? Sal! The masked faunus looked up in the sky, frowning now as a faint whistling noise reached his ears. His comrade frowned with him. The hell is that? You! Was it a bird? A plane? No, it was too damn high up. Patience! His eyes widened behind the mask. Oh, fuck me. The last thing he saw was green eyes and long, glowing red hair. And then, quite simply put, the earth erupted in a scorching hail of napalm. Then gotten separated. Cinder cursed herself for every second of it, whirling and slashing like a wildcat. Crow had been lost somewhere in the melee. Tai Yang was bogged down by a particularly burly brute. Roman was fighting for his life against some slender fellow she didn't recognize. A fist cracked out, and Sienna went down with a squeal of pain, clutching her face. Cinder's world went red. She pivoted. Her half-sister had an ugly wound across her face, and Roman was given as good as he got, but they were kids, for crying out loud. They weren't meant to fight adults, and numbers had a quality of their own. It didn't matter how skilled they were for their age. Roman didn't have half the training, and he was flailing. A single hostage would damn them. She took a hit she knew she shouldn't have. On that nearly brought down to her knees. Her eyes flashed with flame. Burn! Power rushed out of her, maiden magic howling to the force, uncontrolled, unpracticed, fleshly gained. It was enough. Blazing blue flames born from equal parts of rage and desperation lashed out like whips, scoring all before them. Bodies hit the floor, smoldering away. It didn't stop the tide. Roman went down with a yelp, clutching his arm. Sienna lost her whip. A sword swept in from her side. She saw her reflection in its blade. Too close. She closed her eyes, unwilling to see her end. It never came. Steel struck steel. She heard a shriek, and then blood splashed her face. It wasn't her own. Good evening, children. A similar face cooed behind her, causing her to open her eyes. Your parents sent me to retrieve you. My, what a mess you've made. A body hit the floor. Once again, it wasn't hers. Cinder knew the voice, and the maddened giggling that chased it, the merry cackle that had caused its ringing back by the dozens. A hand seized the scruff of her neck, lifted her, dropped her on Roman's prone form, or rather his back. The boy groaned beneath her. She barely heard him, only managing a half-hearted apology. It was all she could muster when her attention was already elsewhere. Attacking the children of the god? A familiar tail wagged, swaying side to side in her blurry vision. Have you no shame or self-preservation? Really, that's quite mad, even for me. A cultist raised the blade. Who the hell are you? Naruto's follower bowed, low and deep at the waist. Why, friends, my name is Tyrion. Someone gulped. Tyrion Kalos. He rubbed his hands together. The very same. No nonsense, it can't be him. Don't be intimidated. Silence stretched between them. A brief pause. Unfortunately, it didn't last. You're Faunus, one cried. You should be siding with us, not these brats. Kalos thumbed his chin and nodded, humming his agreement. Make a fair argument. You make a fair argument. Allow me to offer my counterpoint. His hand snapped forward. His wrist blade barked once. A body fell. Any arguments? Silence reigned. Really, as far as I'm concerned, you're the heretics here. Tyrion sauntered forward, eyes flashing violet. Blasphemers and traitors all! You don't worship the true God, that is my lord. He offers you his mercy, and you spit in his face like the rabid dogs you are. And what makes you bad dogs? Sienna raised a ragged cheer from where she lay. They get punished? Quite so, Tyrion tutted. Don't you worry, little cat. You'll be right as rain after this. Uncle Tyrion will fix you right up. Yay? Well, the leader of the cultists was either dumb or dense, perhaps both even, because he didn't realize his peril. Looks like we've got us a volunteer, boys. 100 lien to the maggot who blows his bloody brains out. Somebody fired at Tyrion. He deflected the shot with his chitinous tail, twisted his head around and giggled. Gentlemen, that's no way to treat a guest. Someone else swore. Fuck me, that is Tyrion Kalos. You know my name! What fun, what fun! The madman clasped his hands. He was still clapping when a pair of wicked knives went flying out each of his sleeves. I believe it's my turn now. A single leap and he was among them. Cinder jerked at her feet. There was no need. It wasn't a fight. To call what followed a fight would have been a gross exaggeration. It was a slaughter, butchery at its finest. Tyr became a mad whirlwind of death, ripping and tearing with reckless abandon. Hardened men and women who hadn't fled from Naruto before did so now to his acolyte. Though his blades didn't find well to his stinger, gurgling as their legs filled with poison. This man was a killer. It was so easy to forget, to fall for his jovial nature and be fooled by his silly smile. The jest and japes, but now the knives came out. Thank the gods that he was on their side. Or well, God, really. Wouldn't do to upset their minder. And I thought Dad was crazy. They'd corner Cauldron. It had been surprisingly easy, almost especially so. Naruto found. I'll kill you. Do you hear me? You and your little horse. As if he could afford me, Raven tuttered, wrenching him off her plate. Colgrim howled. I will not die here. My goddess shields me. She hasn't left me. Raven slammed a heel into his chest and sent him crashing through a wall. Naruto whistled after her. Shut up, she startled after him. There are no gods here, only monsters. Honestly, you're such a disappointment. A pistol snapped up, fired. She deflected every shot, much to his dismay. Why won't you die, filthy heretic unbeliever? That's right. Bronwyn spread her arms, wearing a shit-eating grin. Like you, I don't care how bloody my hands get, so long as those kids remain clean. Does that make me a hypocrite? Perhaps. She swatted away another shot, humming as the pistol finally clicked empty. Unfortunately, it also makes you a dead man. Colgrin ripped a horn from his belt. This isn't over. Raven crooked her brow. One last trick before you die, then. Go on, show me. I don't think so. Naruto disagreed. Couldn't be anything good that. He stepped in and grabbed at the cellet. We're taking him in. Raven caught his wrist. Wait, I want to see what happens. He balked at her. Are you insane? No, I'm bored. Her grin held an edge he knew all too well. I came here for entertainment, not to slaughter a bunch of weaklings. Don't you want to see what he's been keeping up his sleeve all this time? Naruto scowled. No. He ripped his arm free and rounded out Colgrin. Too late. The lunatic blew out a single sharp note, a sound so deep it had them covering their ears. 2 now. What would happen when he hit 3? He didn't want to find out, but God's above the noise. He staggered forward through the pain and grasped at the horn. It cracked in his grasp, not quickly enough. A third and final bleat rattled his ears, and Colgrin slumped, grinning like a lunatic he was. It's done. The mountain above Menagerie shattered. One moment it was whole, and the next it wasn't. A great beast burst forth from the mountainside, clawing its way out free with slow, lurching movement. Molten lava streamed down its back, running in rivets down the mountain, and he realized with a start that Menagerie Mountain wasn't a mountain at all, but a dormant volcano. At least it had to be. No longer. Bloody thing sure looked active now. Larger than anything he'd ever seen, the newborn monster spread its wings and howled at the cloudy skies, luxuriating in its freedom as it tore free from the cradle of its birth. Even then, it took Naruto a moment to realize what he was looking at. After all, he'd never seen one before. 4 limbs, scales of a deep purple bordering on violet, a long neck and tail to match, to say nothing of that horned head and those great gaping jaws. No, the beast spread her wings, casting the area in shadows, and cried out once more, rattling the very aisle. Well, that settles it then. There could be no doubt about it. Is that a freaking dragon? It wasn't even a Grim, but an honest-to-goodness dragon. Who the hell sealed a dragon in a volcano? He hadn't signed up for this. Screams went up from the cultists below. Praise be, she is reborn! Burn the non-believers! Naruto grabbed a fistful of Colgren's coat. What did you do? It's too late now. The lunatic grinned at him through broken teeth. Long as she slumbered, but no longer. She has heard our prayers, and now she has come. She shall cleanse this world in holy fire. Without me and the horn, there shall be none to control her. His words trailed off because the dragon wasn't moving. Naruto craned his neck back. Raven joined him. The beast was just watching, waiting, observing. Then a round bounce of the dragon's skull. Naruto never knew who fired it. Whoever did, damn them. He felt a pang of anger, outrage from the beast. Watched now as its long neck swung further back still. Raven readied her sword. You gotta be kidding me. Naruto yanked her backwards, heard the dragon's exhale. The world erupted into fire. Previews, scatter. I don't know, it seemed kind of sentient. It seems kind of sentient. Huh, that's all things. I'm gonna tame it. You are not taming a dragon. No, absolutely not. Even you can't. Are you even listening? Come back here. Salutations. It is so wonderful to finally meet you all. Penny, wait, lungs. You gotta let him breathe. Cinder groaned in her grasp. Why me? Rowan flung himself at Raven's feet. Train me. Her jaws clicked open. Huh, why me? Because you're a certified badass. Naruto howled with laughter. Enjoy your new apprentice. She glared bloody red daggers at him. I will end you. Promises, promises. Tyrion raised a hand. Can I have an apprentice too, my lord? Sure, you can help me train Sienna. The poor girl whimpered. Welcome to the world, Winter. She was born with glowing blue eyes and chakra. Naruto cooed at her, grinning as she giggled. Well, aren't you special? End of chapter 24.